Of course, let's get into our segment. And of course, we are dealing with young men in crisis. And of course, we are going to get the success story of our guest this morning, Diane Benskin, world-renowned poet, playwright, author, and would have received a CE award from London. And she'll tell us about that. Good morning and welcome, Ms. Diane Benskin.
Good morning, Brother B. Thank you for having me.
Very good. All right, so let's start with, well, I didn't mention all the accolades. We'll get into that later. Is that enough to start, or there's something you want to mention that you would have achieved and maybe I didn't mention it?
Okay, well, people often always ask me where I was born. So I say I was born next door in Trinidad to Barbadian parents. And I grew up in Barbados from the age of 3 months to 8 years old, and then I returned to Trinidad and attended secondary school there and graduated from secondary school in Trinidad. I went on to Mercy College in New York. Later on in life, I received a bachelor's degree. I received a poet fellowship from the Martha's Vineyard Institute of Creative Writing. I am finishing up a poetry fellowship that was a poetry scholarship that was recently awarded to me by CLI Literature under the University of Southern California. A whole lot of, and I got a humanitarian award from the city of Newark, New Jersey, Mayor Ras Baraka, for my efforts towards the Trinbagonians during the pandemic here, whilst they were stranded, etc., etc.
All right, so let's get into your years as a child growing up in Trinidad. Let's talk, and of course, be as graphic, be as real as possible, and I know you will, as to your trials as a child growing up in at home with your parents, the struggles of a teenage life in Trinidad.
Okay, I was jettisoned to Trinidad as a little lass, and I was confused as to why am I being sent here? Who are these people that I arrived to live with? I didn't know the person was my mother. I didn't know these 4 or 5 boys were my siblings. And my story is that my mother had previously abandoned me as a young baby, maybe 2, 3 months old. She didn't want me. And I ended up being sent to Barbados to her mother to be raised with her, because both my parents are Barbadians. So people often ask me about the Bajan accent. It will always be with me because that is where my speech was formed. And I arrived in Trinidad to live with people I didn't know. And I was very confused and anxious. And the woman, she began to berate me and treat me very badly. And I didn't understand as a child why I was being treated this way. So I did my best to get along. Psychologically, I felt like I didn't fit in. It was like wearing a pair of shoes that was too tight for you, the uncomfortable feeling. I experienced severe trauma, abuse, emotional, physical, psychological, verbal, whilst living in that house with the woman whom I did not know was my mother, because she made me call her by her married name, Miss. All right? And the man in the house, he was not my father, biological father, and I had to call him Mr. But the other children, they called them mommy and daddy. So I was a very bright little girl, I was told. So I was very conscious of that. Why am I calling her Miss and Mr.? I experienced all sorts of abuse, especially from the woman that bore me. I was stabbed. I was kicked downstairs. I was deprived of food. I was physically, emotionally, and as a developing child, this was confusing for me. So I got in a lot of little scrapes at school. Children, when they tease you about my accent, I would, I felt a lash, for lack of a better word, right?
Right.
But I was a very academically inclined student. I always came first in tests, especially in elementary school. So I was trying to do well in school to see if I could abate or, stave off the abuse that was being inflicted upon me. As I blossomed into a lass, the man in the house, he wanted to make me a dalliance of his.
My God.
So I learned to fight. I learned to fight a man off of me, in my formative teenage years. Somehow morally, I knew it was wrong to sleep with this man. I many nights I remember studying at the street light, the lamppost, mosquito biting me because he turned off his main switch, so I had no light to study by. So I studied that by the street light. In the midst of all this, my able-bodied biological pappy, he lived in the United States, and therefore he could have afforded to provide me with stuff. Even, you could find a neighbor, and then somebody, hey, get a girl, this, take care of the child for me, something. He never did nothing like that. I never met my father until I was about 19. Yeah, about that. And he was very standoffish. Growing up, I always felt a void. And I want to say to, the men, especially, because they tend to be the ones to walk off and leave the women with the children. If you fall out with the woman, or you're having your loggerheads, this little child should not be used as a pawn in your quarrel. The child will grow up to become an adult, and they will have their own thinking, which is, this is manifested itself in me.
Very good. All right.
So,
All
thank
right.
you.
So, all right. Let's go now. So the struggle of childhood wasn't a pleasant one for you, or growing up years was not very pleasant. In fact,
No.
It still leaves the scars. I could feel the emotion when you speak about the torture you had to go through. All right. So let's come now so that would have been that era, that time in your life.
Yes.
How did we come to a place where, how did you overcome these challenges, these confrontational challenges? What happened next, as it were, in terms of your development? Did you migrate? Were you out of this country already? Talk to us, and then we get to the migration, and then the person that you are today.
Very good question, Brother B. When I wrote Common Entrance, there was a mix-up with my name. I wrote Common Entrance under Deanne Lewis, but my birth paper said something else. I didn't get to go to the school I was supposed to go to. They stuck me in a junior secondary school to sort it out. It took 3 years. Eventually, I ended up going to St. Augustine Girls, where I was ordained to attend. So Brother B, it's, I use my life as an example.
Yes.
Because I believe Jehovah let me walk that road because he moved his knobs on his draft board and he put me right where he wanted me to be right now.
Okay. All right. So I guess it is a little difficult for you to speak about trials at the school. I don't want you breaking down and so on.
No. I'm not going to break down.
All
No.
right.
But no, why I
Yeah.
said
Yes.
my first book I wrote about my life is about, it is named after my alma mater, St. Augustine Girls High School, per ardua ad astra. Through
Right.
difficulty to success, the life story of one West Indian girl. I'm writing a second book, which is The Will Does It, which is the motto of my first secondary school, Cureb Junior Secondary, which is now St. Joseph Secondary.
Very good. All right. Let's get to your migration. And let's treat with the sacrifices, because if we are speaking to young people, the trials you went through as a child, the trials you went through in secondary or in your if you call it junior secondary year, would have had its challenges. You didn't want to touch too much on that. So let's jump forward to the sacrifices to get to where you are now. How did you start out as a poet? What inspired you? And let's get to that.
Okay, I was always academically inclined, as I said before. I always wrote. I insulated myself in a world of books and writing. Whatever I got to read, old magazines, old newspapers, a geography, like somebody brought me a National Geographic magazine. I felt like I got a box of candy or a $5 bill when you gave me literature. So I began to write to chronicle my feelings and chronicle what was going on in the world around me. And being I grew up in the calypso culture, it was easy for me to rhyme, and say what I wanted to say. And later on in life, I had a little collection as a girl, but the woman, I call her the Boogie Monster, she burnt that book. She burnt my book, my book
Who
of
burnt your book?
childhood.
Your mother?
Yeah, I call her the Boogie Monster, yeah.
And it dealt with your struggle surviving your stepfather's
Yeah.
attack and so on. All right.
Yes,
So,
yes.
all right. I want you to take this opportunity to speak to the young men. We're getting further into the story, but I want you to take a stop at this junction. And we're getting into the success of who Diane Benskin is. But it's important now to point to areas that, some people believe that you have to get instant gratification. Your struggle did not start now to where you are, and the comfort that you are, the pleasure, or you're enjoying your success and so on now. But just to talk about the sacrifices that if you want to succeed, option of choosing a crime, remember you were put below the street light to study, you hardly had food. There are young men or young people who would say, hey, I had to find food and let me go and rob Mr. Chin down by the corner. You did not do that. Speak to that particular scenario that is an excuse to commit a crime or get involved in the wrong activities.
Well, throughout my struggles, and throughout anyone's struggles, there's always beacons, but you have to raise your head up and look up to recognize these beacons, despite people trying to throw arrows at you. Some beacons in my life were my principal, Anna Mahays, Dr. Mahays, Miss Judy Alcantara, my English teacher, my godmother, Miss Helen Weeks. So these were people, and down the street from me, Dr. Bishnu Raghunath's mother, who provided my school uniform and my books and stuff, and would give me a motivational word when I felt like giving up. Because there were times, I'll tell you, there was one time I felt suicidal because it was too much for this young lass to bear. And there were no things in place to capture me and to guide me and talk to me. I remember one time I personally, and I can speak about it now, I was going to jump off the St. Joseph Bridge because I couldn't take it anymore. And the Boogie Monster had chopped me with a cutlass. And I was running, dragging myself to go jump off this bridge. And for some reason, Jehovah said, no, you're not going to do that today. And I couldn't when I got to Levi Duncan's church, in the Pentecostal church in Currap, I couldn't make it no further. I collapsed. And they took care of me and prayed with me and cleaned the wound for me. So that sort of concreted that I wasn't supposed to kill myself. So fast forward, I migrated to the United States. Again, I met my papi, and his words to me were, the best place for you is back in the Caribbean. I have nothing to give you. So I got no help from my papi, no support, emotional, verbal, financial. And I did the usual, the babysitting, to support myself. But all the while, Brother B, I educated myself. I got my driver's license, which made me more employable in the field in which I was so myopically cocooned to take employment because my status was not sorted out. So these were jobs that were available, but you would get a higher pay if you had a driver's license. So I made myself I got a driver's license. So I was able to I was on the upper end of the lower end of employment, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's
Okay.
it.
All right. What we'll do, we'll go for the break, and when we come back, we'll have our friend. You would tell us who she is, and she would share that poem. Just to send the message, and
Yes.
you would have organized that particular individual to point directly to what we are treating with, given the backdrop of your story that says, look, hey, overnight success didn't come easy, and this is how my journey is. All right, so what we'll do, we'll go for the break. When we come back, we'll take in the poem from your good friend. See you after the break.
Paying your Trico cable bill just got easier. Simply log on to www.tricott.com and choose online payment. Or log into your online banking, RBL, FCB or Scotiabank, and add Trico as a pay. Yep, it's that easy. No stress, no more hassle, no more long lines. Just pure relaxation and social distancing from the comfort of your space. For more information, contact 639-4457 or log on to www.tricott.com. Trico Industries Limited. We are here for you.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Tune in to Spot On. A new episode premieres every Tuesday at 8 p.m. only on Tobago Channel 5.
Greetings in the name of Jesus Christ, our soon and coming King. I am Minister Cassandra Powder, here to encourage you to dare to be different. Think the unthinkable, for we serve a God that has no limits, no boundaries. It's time to elevate.
All right, so let's take in the poem that speaks directly to the that should be a deterrent for young men who want to pursue a life of crime. Let's welcome. Tell us who you are, ma'am, and just share a little bit about you before you get into the piece.
Good morning. How are you? Thank you for having me. Dimensional Darky, I am known as.
Dimensional.
And I'm doing a piece. Yes, Dimensional Darky.
Yes.
I do karaoke entertainment. I am the CEO of the Dimensional Entertainment. I try to take part in as much comedy and events that I can to spread joy and love at as much people as I can.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's hear the piece.
This piece is by Miss Diana Benskin. Thank you for having me. Oh God, not again. Another murder in Port of Spain. Idle fingers pulling triggers. Families hurting, graves keep filling. Not only from COVID, because of the senseless murder being committed. Let me tell you about a few of my observations of the ills that are plaguing this nation. Imagine 30 murders for the year already. Government need to do whatever is necessary. So our citizens will feel a sense of security and safety. To the bandits, I say, if you put down the guns and pick up a pen, I bet you all this violence will end. There was an There was a time not long ago, night or day citizens will walk the streets anytime to and fro. But these days, it's a crisis we face it. If some of we don't get killed, then we go missing. The Twin Republic is a favorable destination for tourists looking for some kind of relaxation. But if they come in, they will think they would end up dead. Believe me when I tell you, they will go somewhere else instead. Put down the guns and pick up a doubles. No trigger to pull, and you ain't gonna have time to get into trouble. Put down the guns and pick up a pilau. You'll be too busy eating to be involved in any row. Chicken bones to chew, rice and peas to swallow. Guaranteed you will go be around to see many more tomorrows. Put down the guns and pick up a book. Hidden inside is plenty knowledge. Take a look. These pages contain valuable information about being an entrepreneur and lots more education. Maybe you could sell some of these delicious foods you enjoy the most. Managing your own business, be the boss. Put down the gun, sell something to eat. Life was meant to live, not dying from guns and violence in the streets. This country needs chefs and plumbers, carpenters, barbers, farmers, hairdressers. All these skills we will bring you to an honest dollar. Idle fingers pulling triggers, senseless murders, crying mothers, orphan sons and daughters caused by a cold-blooded killer. Put down the gun and pick up a tool, or better yet, enroll in school. Get an education, much better than incarceration. Oh God, not again. Another murder in Port of Spain. Idle fingers pulling triggers. Family hurt and graves keep filling, not only from COVID, but because of the senseless murders being committed. Oh Lord, not again.
All right, and we do this, we do this, Diane. We snap our fingers, of course, but it deserves all the applause and really, and fantastic. I want to get from you, Dimensional Daki, the conviction in the way you would have put over that piece. Do you feel what the poem or what the writer is saying or the poet is saying? You are reciting what was written, but just give us the conviction that led you to feel that you could deliver it in the way that it's delivered. Yes, just tell us.
Well, I only got this piece yesterday, and I tell you, immediately I felt the message. So I sank into what Mr. Anna is trying to put across to the youths, that there is more to life than guns and the street life. There's education, there's teaching yourself. As she said, that's how she got to the position she got into. So I felt it immediately.
Very good. All right, well done. And of course, we want to congratulate you and to encourage you. And how many young people are involved in your group? And of course, we're coming back to Ms. Benskin in a minute. Young people and the arts is an option. Trust me, I am. Yeah, it's an option. And just tell us how important it is for parents to get their children involved in arts, developing their confidence and all the, that adds to their personality and the development. How many people are in your group and how many young people and how do you recruit as you continue your drive?
I am a TikToker, and currently I am at 42,000 followers and counting. I am also an entertainer and motivational speaker on these platforms. And I try to touch people and encourage parents to push the children in the direction they are bleeding that they can go. You may not want them there, but they might have talent there. I'm an entertainer, so I have natural comedic little things in me.
All right, all right. You're a dramatist, and that's what you do, all right? So we
Yes,
get
I'm
that.
a
All right.
dramatist.
So, okay. All right. So, Ms. Benskin, all right. So we got
Yes.
where you were. With the message is sent through your poem, to your literary work, through your poem, and of course, the young lady did fantastic, did justice to the piece. But let's get now to the positives. You became a poet. You're an author. And you have done exceedingly well, given the struggles you came from. I want to use this part of your story where you highlight some of your achievements, and the latest one being the award from England, the Martha Stewart, the Martha Vineyard, and you will explain all that. But just to give the young people that you can make it, if you made it, if I made it during, my father chopped me, and I did survive, I almost died, I was going to commit suicide. Tell us, the young people, there is hope yet, given your success. Take it from there.
Well, first to begin with, Papi didn't chop me, it was Mommy.
Well, mommy, okay, sorry.
But-
My fault. All right, okay.
So,
however,
I
it's
just want-
unacceptable. Yeah, okay.
Yes, unacceptable. I just wanted to say, as I said, there are always beacons around you. There are people, maybe in the church, a godmother, a teacher, a person that works in a business, or there were beacons around me, and I was able to recognize those beacons. See, my head was not bent and looking to the ground. I was always looking up because that's where I wanted to go. So in looking up, and I listened. I wasn't, you can't just, but don't talk to me. I don't want to hear. You have to listen. Now, as tough as things were for me, and I had a few scuffles at school, I would tend to think I was a obedient child and polite. Right? And I knew what I wanted I knew where I was, and how I was being treated was not correct. It was the wrong thing that was happening to me. And as a result of me writing my book, Per Adua Ad Astra, my novel, I'm ostracized by the siblings, right? I'm ostracized, telling my story of survival. But they witnessed it. And even before Mother Dearest passed on, I asked her, well, why did you treat me the way you did? And her comment was, I reminded her of my papi. But I said to people, there are beacons around you. You have to want something, and go after it. You can't just, say, well, if you're looking for a person who could have been a drug addict, a delinquent, a dropout, a nemesis to society, it's me. I had all the reasons to say, you know what? Mommy and Papi don't like me. I wasn't treated well. I go in and do this. But I said no. And also too, Jehovah was moving his knobs on his draft board. So I was fighting against a much mightier force, because in my times of troubles and trials, I always prayed. I always got down on my knees and prayed, and I talked to my God, and that got me through a lot.
Okay. All right.
For lack of not having someone to talk to,
Very good.
person,
All right.
physical.
All right, so we're just about getting ready to wrap. And it's so inspiring story, and this it's almost difficult to go through with you, and you're still carrying a smile, and you're still excited to share the story, and that is commendable in itself. There are most people would be timid to share. There's a part that you did not go into that I would not even try to get you to regurgitate, because it may, as I said, we want you to look as beautiful and not shed a tear, given this emotional roller coaster ride that we have to ask you to bring up your past and to treat it. But I really want to thank you. So in closing, appeal to the young men looking on, because we want to save them. One politician said, my good friend before he turned politician, he said, Brother B, if half those fellas are locked away or dead, who are going to marry to our daughters? And I want you to take it from there. We need young men, and to share a positive light that there is hope yet. Take it from there.
It starts with the parents, because if you are living in a house with a woman and you abusing this woman, either verbally, physically, emotionally, however, the children are taking cues from what's going on there and may just adapt your way of how you know, live in and continue on in life. I know I have siblings that have adopted their father's way of living, who used to hit on Mother Dearest. So, but I choose not to, nobody to hit on me and stuff like that. It starts in the home. The charity begins at home. That's an old saying, huh? You have to fix your roof before you can go out and fix anybody. The children are looking on. These are human beings that you are going to graduate into the world, and they're going to have to coexist with other individuals. So you should be, you know, training these children to carry on a legacy of well-behaved, law-abiding, helpful citizens. If you abuse the mother, the chances are they're gonna do it. You abandon a child, that is what they know. They probably will. The first crisis that arises in any relationship, they may want to abandon the woman and the child, because you, as the parent, especially the father, because I believe a father is critical in a home. I suffered emotionally, physically, everyhow, because I'm 62 years old and I do not have a relationship with my biological father. And at times I feel a void, but because I had therapy, I am able to send my mind elsewhere and not go into the dumps. I feel I suffered because of a lack of a relationship with my papi. He's tantamount in my life. He's part of me. My biology, my features, the way I walk. People say I get it from him, and perhaps my poetic ability. I don't know. So you men, you are tantamount. You are the person that the children are going to take the cue from. They say that you are the head of the household. So you need to start acting that way. And at the first crisis, you don't want to rain down blows on the woman, be verbally abusive. You can sit down and talk it out and let the children see, especially your boy children, see you hugging mommy, see you giving mommy a loving stroke on the face, see you calling mommy a lovely word in the home. Hear that. And perhaps that may change, you know, that this trend, you know, and and stop the young men from going to crime.
Okay. All right.
You know?
Right. We want to thank you very much for being with us. And, of course, Dimensional Daki. Maybe we need to get into Daki.
She has a story. She has a story to her also. Oh, yes.
Okay.
A survival story.
Very good.
Yes.
All right. So it was indeed a pleasure. Dimensional Daki, it was a pleasure having you. And I love your skills. Obviously, you've been doing this a while, and so continue to do your good work. And we need to know more of you. And we'll contact you through my good friend Diane Benskin, and of course our poet, world renowned. And we want to thank both of you for being with us and sharing your story, Ms. Diane Benskin. And of course, it was indeed a pleasure to have you, and all the best to you. All right.
It was my pleasure being here, and thank you. I look forward to engaging sometime in the future.
All right, and Daki?
Thank you guys for having me.
Very good. All right, so see you another time. All right. All right, so after the break, we will speak with Ms. Carolyn Butcher James, and of course, we're dealing with tourism. All right, so see you after the break.